What's coming up now is there's lots of talks going in the marketing community about metaverse. What are your views on metaverse? Is it going to impact initiatives like Columbia Pacific communities also in the future?
So, my view is that it's probably a bit too premature to really predict what metaverse is going to do. It is
Hmm.
obviously the next big thing.
Yeah.
There is no denying that. There are a whole bunch of lifestyle and, let's say, fashion, FMCG brands, even in India today, that have already jumped on the bandwagon. For example, we all know what Boat did very recently. We've seen some of the Tata brands do metaverse activation. We've seen Vans do metaverse, and they've all done it in their own sort of unique way. My view on metaverse, and yes, at home we do have the headset, and I've sort of fiddled around with it a little bit. My view is that for anything to gain momentum, it has to ultimately have scale, right? And you have to look at adoption at scale. Today, social media is what it is because it has been
Hmm.
adopted at scale across tier one, tier two, tier three cities. It's cut through, communities, languages. It's become,
Yes.
all pervasive, right? Metaverse does possess a challenge in that sense, because obviously you would need
True.
the headset in
Yeah.
order to be able to access it. And the headset is something that is
Hmm.
expensive, let's face it, right? I'm
Things will change.
sure the way things are moving, and it is going to become a lot more accessible. It always starts with things not being accessible to
Access.
the larger masses, and
Exactly.
then it kind of becomes something with a lot more uh,
True.
mass appeal, right? So it is a journey. We have to understand that. I don't think it will happen next year, right? I mean, a lot of publications are now doing year-end stories and talking about, is metaverse going to take over in 23? I don't think it's going to happen that soon. But as I always say, that whether it is metaverse, whether it is a print ad, whether it is an EDM, whichever channel that one
Hmm.
has access to, I think it is about what you want to do
True.
with that channel, right? It is about what is that great idea that you have which will flourish
Hmm.
on that channel. So I think the idea is as important
True.
as the channel. I mean, we've seen a great print campaign. I know the world is divided about whether it is great or not, but I personally thought the
Yeah.
Bonvita campaign was great. And it's a print
True.
activated campaign which is creating so much buzz
Yes.
on all digital platforms, right? So I think it's about the
Yes.
power of the idea, whether it is metaverse or print or whatever it is. And I think that's
Wonderful.
my take on it. But I think that Web3 in general, and I think the transition that is now happening
Hmm.
from Web2 to Web3 will open
Yes.
up a lot of doors for businesses small and big. And it would be very interesting to sort of be an observer of
Right.
this change, right? As far as Columbia Pacific communities is concerned, we are always very open to doing new things, experimenting, because we are a
Hmm.
young company in that sense. But the audience that we have, at least the
Hmm.
primary audience that we have, I do not know whether at this point it makes sense for us to have a
Definitely.
metaverse strategy. For the secondary audience, which is the children of the senior citizens, and if we are really looking to target them, probably it makes sense to look at metaverse. For the primary audience, maybe not.